Hey everyone, welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Lunch Break Special. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and as you can see, this big cheese smile, we got some small breaking news in regards to, oh my God, did you see that Starfield Special Edition controller? I'm going to bring it up on the screen and do a screen share in a bit. Again, is it real? Is it fake? It just looks so good and it looks so professional that if this is fan made, Xbox needs to hire this person in China because, oh my God, it's the chef's kiss. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Hopefully you had an amazing weekend here. It's a nice 40 degrees. It was actually in the 30s when I got up this morning and went out in New Rochelle, New York. Lots of great stories we're going to talk about. Specifically, the big one, folks, is we all imagined a world where ABK goes through, no one argues with it, and Microsoft just does what Microsoft does, and games are available everywhere, and there's going to be some exclusives because, well, that's what you do when you spend nearly $80 billion, right, or $70 billion. And unfortunately, Sony has been opposed to this deal since it was announced in January of last year. And they have been putting up the, quote unquote, good fights for anyone that's a Sony fan. And, as if you watch the show and you've seen us talk about this particular subject for probably about 14 months now, the question that we have always asked is, we all know Sony does heinous things in regards to their business practices, right? I mean, I don't know how many times Dave sat here and told us that he had a friend or a cousin or a family member that thought said game was a PlayStation exclusive because of the marketing, exclusive, and then underneath it in fine print, cowboy hat, right? That happened with Rockstar's Western game. We've seen it just recently with Hogwarts, exclusive mission, and it's a mission that takes all of 30 seconds and you're done with it. So, they have done some malicious marketing, and we know, folks, that 11 senators here in the United States have been asking a lot of questions, specifically what's happening in Japan. Is Sony literally putting into the contracts anti-Xbox and anti-Xbox Game Pass writing to keep games off of the platform, which is considered anti-competitive, especially in a world where the United States is trying to make deals with Japan for fair trade. So we're going to be asking the question today is whether or not the JFTC, the CMA, or the EU Commission, or all three, should open up investigations against PlayStation. And the answer, quite frankly, for me, shortly, is yes, they absolutely should. And who's to blame for this? Who's to blame if they do open up investigations? It's probably going to be Jim Ryan, because we know that he was out there flying out to here, there, and everywhere, adding another name to the dancing Jim Ryan. But listen, before we get into that, let's welcome in our panel. Web Dave, brother, you're first and foremost here as always, and you dropped a pretty damn good interview with none other than Luke Steele, Mr. CMA, if you will. Talk about it, brother. Welcome.
Well, thanks, Boom. Appreciate you having me on. And it's a great interview. It's available now on our channel, and the link is in the description below. Of course, we'll share that again at the end of the show. But yeah, if you get a chance, subscribe to it and jump on and watch Luke's interview. It's really good. He really gets in depth and explains a lot about the, where we're at in the ABK deal and, what the expectations are. And he's a lawyer, man. So he knows exactly what he's talking about, and he explains it really good, kind of like Hogue does, just to makes it so you can understand it. And that's awesome. And then we had a great show last night with a very special guest. Fuzzy Belvedere was on Gamers Council, and man, he knocked it out of the park, man. Of course, like your gameplay here, he came in first every single time. Boom! I don't understand
I came in second to open up, and then after that, it was first every time without changing the difficulty. By the way, we'll see. I still think Fuzzy's a better driver, but you know, so see, finish second. There you go. Merry Christmas. Well, listen, brother, it's great to have you here. We're gonna have a lot of fun conversations. At Crazy Lou Gaming, what's going on, brother? How you feeling?
Oh man, I'm feeling great, feeling awesome, man. It's spring break here in Dominican Republic. Gonna get a couple vacation days coming in soon, and man, oh man, we got a lot of spicy stuff going on, especially with PlayStation and its tactics. That's gonna be interesting talk today.
Yeah, I mean, it's good questions to ask because you know, when we saw Jim Ryan over in Washington lobbying for this deal to get blocked, I think the last thing he thought was going to happen was that that Washington was going to have turn their keen eye onto gaming. Now, again, I don't like government oversights, folks. I don't like it. I think I said this before, and I'll say it again, Fuzzy. I think that Sony has done an incredible disservice to gaming as a whole. I think by them doing what they did, flying here, there, and everywhere, and complaining to anyone that would listen to their bullshit, that they have now turned the spotlight onto gaming in a way that it has never been before. Deals have gone and come and gone, like, you know, you lace up your shoes. Like, not that big of a deal. It's business. People are trying to make video games, you know, and sell video games more so than anything. And with Sony literally crying to everyone, they have now put the entire gaming industry and its business practices on blast. And I think ultimately they're illegal. And that's what it is, folks. When you have a monopoly like they do in Japan, 98% to 2%, and you actually have anti-competitive writing into your contracts to keep games off of Xbox, that's a big problem. Fuzzy, what's going on, brother? Good morning. How you feeling?
Hey, everyone. How y'all doing? Glad to be here with you guys. Man, I tell you, it's funny how Sony is just kind of, I guess everybody talks about, well, oh, Xbox is going to ruin gaming, but it feels more like Sony's ruining gaming with their tactics and whatnot. But man, so many interesting things to talk about. Can't wait to get into. But man, yeah, let's do this. We're going to have some fun today.
Yeah, we absolutely are. And I want to do a screen share, folks, because I would be remiss if I didn't show you what is coming out from, first of all, shout out to Jacob Novick, who DM'd me right before the show went live, who's in the chat right now. Idle Sloth, good friend of the program, posted this. So I want to do the screen share, and I want to show you what I'm looking at, so you can take a look at it as well. Let me do that right now. Let me throw it up on the screen, and let me just bring this to full screen. Okay, so I'm going to bring up the pictures in full so you can take a look at them. This is the leaked Starfield controller from China. Now, there's a lot of chatter about what this is. Is this custom made? Is this apparently this might be someone in China that does custom controllers? If in fact that's the case, folks, Microsoft needs to hire this person ASAP. Take a look at the next screen. That is the cable guy, the Master Chief cable guy holding the controller. But again, yeah, sure, anyone could, you know, paint something if you're good at painting. But damn, man, this looks really, really good. I'm gonna do another. Here's the back of it, and I think really what's awesome about this picture is the fact that there's a robot hand holding the controller. That looks incredibly dope. If you look on the left and right triggers, they appear to be clear, which, wow, if that in fact is the case. But here's the next picture, folks, that says this is too real. Look again. I get people do custom controllers. There are a lot of folks that, you know, that do them, and they do them really well. But this looks really like good. I mean, this looks really official. I don't know what to say. I will cycle the play again. If you're just tuning in, this is the leaked Starfield controller. I'm going to cycle through the pictures again, just in case you happen to just tune in and you can check it out for yourself. Man, that looks freaking phenomenal. So let me just fix this. All right, sorry about the mess up over here. Let me get that going, and let me get this back in. And there we go, folks. Okay, so you're gonna get to check out the new footage from Forza. Dave, I want to start first with you. You know, we were talking in the green room, and like I said, folks, if you know who I am, I'm a little up there. I'm going to be 53, so I've been around a while. I remember arcades. I remember pinball machines. You know, a lot of people don't even know what the hell a pinball machine is, or at least a real one. I remember standing in line on midnight launches, which I actually miss. I used to stand with my brother Neo Mental all the time, and it was fun because you just hang out with gamers. But the thing that I'm hoping that we see out of Microsoft, specifically Bethesda, is an all-out, balls to the wall marketing campaign for Starfield. I want custom controllers. I want custom themes for my Xbox. I want a custom console. I want it all. And the last time, Dave, that at least for me anyway, that I remember that we saw like a real mega push for for a particular game launching as an Xbox exclusive was Halo 3. I mean, they had the custom controllers made that were drawn by Todd McFarlane that came with little action figures per controller, which was dope. They had the cat head helmet for the collector's edition, which I'm hoping, and again, I have hope because if you've ever seen Bethesda's collector's editions, they're pretty dope. Like I have the Fallout 76 helmet, I got the Doom Slayer helmet one. They've always done it up pretty good. I want to say maybe about Dave, maybe 2 or 3 months ago, we saw one of the Microsoft first party studios put like a space helmet, like a NASA helmet on a desk. And a lot of people were saying, oh my God, is that going to be the collector's edition? For you personally, seeing this controller, and again, folks, we don't know if this is real or custom, if it's a custom job. And if, like I said, if it is a custom controller made by someone, this is what I want my Starfield controller to look like. I mean, we've had a few in the last couple of big releases. Like we have the Forza one, which is gorgeous, right? And I know Fuzzy has that. They had the Master Chief Halo Infinite Elite, which was dope. I still have it. For you, what are your thoughts on the controller? Are you hoping that it's real?
Well, yeah, definitely. I would hope that it's real. I mean, it looks good enough to be real, if that makes sense. It looks like something that they would actually produce and put out. So yeah, it's very impressive. And who's to say that even if it is, that maybe they'll have multiple different designs because it's going to be such a big game. You know, you were talking about the Halo 3, which was a big push. They were really going to do a big push with Halo Infinite. But of course, it got delayed for a year because it was on the box. There was all kinds of Mountain Dew things that
it was on Doritos.
It was supposed to come out. Yeah, exactly. That came out even though the game was been pushed back a year. All that stuff had to keep going because it was already set up and in motion. So now that they've got Starfield on the back of the box, we have the actual, I guess, presentation coming up in June, the showcase. I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the showcase, after all this amazing stuff we see about the game, that Todd doesn't say, oh, and by the way, now taking reservations on, and here's the collector's edition, here's the console edition, here's the special edition with the watch, here's the controllers, here's the whatever bells and whistles that they want to throw at us, and people will go absolutely nuts. A lot of people will jump online or in line for these for this Starfield products, and there's a lot of people out there that's like, oh, it's just a game, it's just Starfield, it's not a big deal. it's a big deal, folks. This game is going to be absolutely huge because it has precedence as far as the brand and what they've been able to put out in the past. And with Skyrim and other great Bethesda products, this game is going to be big, and Microsoft is banking on that. They said that Phil said he wants this to be Todd Howard's biggest game release ever. He wants more people to play this than any other game he's ever played. Yeah. So with that said, and with all these other things that they're doing, it definitely has a chance to get that point. So who knows what's going to happen, but I hope it's true. I hope this is a controller. And like I said, I wouldn't be opposed to them having multiple different designs, because I guarantee you there'll be people out there like Boom that would buy multiple different designs if they were available.
If they have 4 of them, understand I'm going to buy all 4 of them. I like custom controllers, and I like Xbox controllers. I like the color ones, Dave, are boring. But
yeah. But let's tell the people what else you said in the green room, which I get it, because I'm a fan like you. You would buy one to play, and then you buy one to keep in the box.
Listen, folks, like I said, I'm old, and back in the days when I used to collect figures and stuff, I still collect figures now to these days, but I don't buy 2 of each. I just keep them in the box because at some point I'll have a man cave, and then I'll be able to display everything. But I would buy 2 of these controllers. There's a controller, folks, that I don't have in my collection that I wish I did, and it is probably one of the greatest game-specific controllers that I missed out on, and that is the Sea of Thieves. Mm-hmm. That one is, any way you look, is $300, $400. That is by far one of the best-looking controllers. That's why I don't mess around, folks. I don't buy 2 of everything. The Starfield one I'd buy 2 unless there were multiple designs, because then I would just buy them all and just get 1 of each. But listen, Crazy Lou Gaming, let's get your hot take on this. It looks really good and really official. I don't know if this is fake, but if it is, this is the kind of control that I want. It just screams fandom. And I think at the end of the day, folks, regardless of what console you root for, you're a fan and you want to see cool things for a game that, whether it's exclusive or not. I think exclusive games have a certain allure to them, especially when you start making custom consoles and you make custom controllers and things of that nature. I really hope, and I don't doubt it because it's Bethesda, that they really do this upright. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm going to tell you something, though. I looked for the controller, and I was trying to zoom in just to look at it to see if it. For me, I think it's 100% real. I mean, it can't be fan made. It looks too good to be. If it's fan made, I mean, this guy's a pro. I mean, this guy's got to be hired by Microsoft. He did a pretty awesome job. But you know what? This is actually a good opportunity for Microsoft. I mean, I'm going to say something, though. They got so many games coming out. Like, for example, we saw the other day Diablo being on the box. But something that really made me sad was that I wish that if Diablo's on the box, I want a Diablo edition console.
Thank you very much.
If we get Redfield, I want a Redfield type of console, a Redfield, controller. I always want those cool stuff, so that way they can take my money right away. I want to spend money, and get those custom controllers. Have one for me, like you were saying, Mr. Boone. Have one in the box, and and put it in the man cave for a near future. Like, for example, the Sea of Thieves. I mean, Sea of Thieves controllers $200 everywhere you go.
Yeah, it's very. I wish they would. I wish they would re-release some of them. I know collectors would hate that, but people that missed out on it, and I missed out on it. I wouldn't mind.
But yeah, this is their chance. This is their chance to do that. They gotta, with all these games coming up. Hey, make a special controller for each of these games, and also make a special console. I mean, I would love to get a Diablo special edition console. I mean, do you guys remember I think it was the Diablo 3 Switch console that looked? Oh my God, I think that was the most beautiful console I've seen of Switch. And man, that's the stuff I like that people bring up those ideas. Like custom controllers, custom consoles. Man, they need to come back with that. Just make it happen soon and give mad publicity about it, because their marketing, they need a little help. But yes, they need to power up that marketing and bring those babies back.
Yeah, you know what? Their marketing has not been the greatest, but again, this is a Bethesda product. Todd Howard and Pete Hines and their marketing department at Bethesda have always, I mean, always done a spectacular job. That is why I'm excited that Todd Howard and the entire team are getting a separate event from Microsoft's show. I think that them having the developer direct for Starfield is huge, because we're going to see Todd Howard do what Todd Howard does, come out there and, you know, and excite and delight all the fans with footage that we've never seen before. At some point, I know there's going to be a mention of a custom console. I would love to see like a white Series X decked out in the Starfield red, orange, and blue colors across it, like stripes with, you know, with the symbol on the front of it. That's what I'm really hoping for, because that would be pretty dope. But Fuzzy, let's get your hot take on this. You know, small breaking news, if you will. Like Crazy Lou just said, that looks too official not to be real. But then again, there are a ridiculous amount of talented people. What are your expectations for the rollout of Starfield and its marketing push?
Well, I'm also one of those that hopes that they do a special edition console. Like, I would love for them to do a Series X, but I just get this like gut feeling because of the vent on the Series S. It would almost be like the perfect thing to have like an overlay of the Starfield logo. But like that controller that that's been showing up on Twitter now, that thing looks awesome. Like it's going to get added to the collection. Like, I'm not going to do the collector's edition because of the watch. The watch is cool. I have enough of those already. But yeah, I definitely like the look of that controller, whether it's fan made or official. It looks too good to be. Well, because I can't say that, because there are some fan made ones that look like they should be official too, like Pope and Wandering.
Yeah,
Dutch
Pope does really. I
others.
actually have several of his controllers. I have a Needler that he did, and I got a Cyberpunk that he did that was just phenomenal.
Yeah, but this one here, I'm hoping it's official, so that way I can put that on pre-order here soon, as soon as they put it up on the Xbox website. But yeah, it looks pretty cool, and if they have a couple of other designs, I'll look forward to seeing which one is the best one. But right now, that one looks pretty darn awesome. So, but yeah, fingers crossed they do some special edition consoles as well. But yeah, that controller is a must have for me for my collection.
I have, I want to say 20 plus controllers for the Xbox Series. This is the one I was telling you about, folks. This was a custom made by Pope Art. This is the Needler. And that joint looks real. Like, if you look at it from the distance, like the needles look like they're in there. I mean, if you're talented, you can do a custom controller. I hope this is real, because I'm definitely buying one. Like I said, I have the Cyberpunk one. I have the Halo Infinite Elite. I have the Forza. I have
Boom.
what did I have?
Show off your GI Joe.
I have like a Sonic one, which is just dope. I
Hey,
hope it's real. Yes, sir.
You had that GI Joe one that was made for you, right?
Yes, I do. Hold on a sec. I will get that. Give me a second. I will show you that.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. That just a friend of the show. Appreciated Boom, and he actually made a custom controller just for Boom, because he knew he was a big fan of the of GI Joe, and man, it looks amazing. There it is. Look at that thing.
Yeah,
dude, that's awesome.
Nice.
And I mean, and what's crazy is the artist put what I always say about my dad: treat others how you want to be treated. Like, this brought me to tears. Ridiculous, ridiculously good. But ladies and gentlemen, listen. We like I said, I hope someone from Microsoft or Bethesda is listening, I would imagine, again, because it's Bethesda, I have a strong suspicion that they are going to, quote unquote, do it up, if you will, for the marketing. The game doesn't come out till September, so we have plenty of time for marketing. I just hope that Crazy Lou, you made mention of something, and I haven't really spoken on this, and I think it's worth mentioning because, again, I know some folks at Microsoft listen to the show, which is pretty freaking cool. When they showed off the Diablo series, pack-in that you talked about, they did the same thing with Forza Horizon 5 a couple of months ago. And it's just a standard, matte black, Series X. And I gotta be honest. I gotta be honest. I think that's lazy. If I'm going to give Microsoft some smoke, and I do, because it's you can do it. You can be critical in a professional manner, which is how we do things on this channel. If I were to give Microsoft some smoke, and where this is where my concern comes from for Starfield, is I don't want a matte black Series X, because I have one in my room. What I want is something similar to the Halo Infinite one that I have, which is amazing. Now, I think, for me personally, it's a missed opportunity for, second purchase retention, meaning that you're going to have diehard fans of your brand buying another box, which counts as a console sale. And if you take the time to actually put some marketing muscle behind your big releases, you might get Xbox fans more inclined to purchase this special edition console to go along with their other consoles in their collection. I mean, like I said, the Series S in white, it's nice. The Series X in black, okay, it's nice. But I got to be honest with you, it's a little boring when you're trying to, when you're putting it out there. Hey, we got this special package, Diablo 4, and it's just a standard black packaging. That's whack. Sorry. Spend some development dollars and get a custom console on there. Get the main character, the female baddie from Diablo 4, plastered on the console. And I'll take it even a step further, folks. We now have the ability to make custom elites, which I think is amazing. How about offering a subset of designs for a specific game, as you charge $50 more or $70 more? Who in this chat, which we have over 400 people here, wouldn't want their favorite game as a custom console? And I'm not talking about just new games. What if there was 4 different Sea of Thieves paint jobs that you can add? You buy your console from Microsoft and I want this, and it comes with a matching custom controller, or a Starfield that has 4 designs, or a Forza Motorsport. I mean, there's no one sitting there with a mask on spraying these things. It's done in a factory, so it's not going to really it's going to cost you some money. But it's fandom, it's fan service. I think they need to do more of that. That's just me. Anyone want to comment on that?
I would like. Luckily, PlayStation has it where they have the replacement panels, but like for Xbox, I don't know if they like. I would wonder if they could do like a replacement shell, like a complete replacement shell. And I've hinted at them. Like, luckily now they do the custom Elite controllers and things like that. But I would love for them to do like the same thing with the console, especially when, and I know this is going to probably sound weird, when they had like limited supply. But if you want to guarantee a way to avoid like the scalpers and stuff, have it where you get into a line. Yeah, it may take an extra 3 months or so to get your console. But if I want a Forza edition with like, in the golf paint scheme or paint scheme of like the golf racing cars and stuff like that from, the old Rolex 24-hour races, I would be willing to get in line and wait for it. Like, have that light blue with orange stripes or something like that. And yeah, 3 months from now, it's here at my door and I can set it up and have it as a centerpiece. So I think they should definitely consider whether it's like an ID at Xbox, well, not ID at Xbox, but like the design labs for the consoles, or at least for their first party, like their first party. Like I know last generation they did like Gears consoles and things like that. And they did this generation, they did do the Halo one, but I would love for them to do a Forza one or at least like a Starfield one. That should be a definite. And even like Redfall would be a pretty cool one as well. And you know, I guess after ABK goes through an official Diablo one, but they could have probably done an official Diablo one before the whole deal, because I'm under the understanding that they have the marketing right, so that should be part of the deal instead of just doing the plain console as a bundle. But it would be pretty cool. I think from a logistics standpoint, that might be why they're a little hesitant. But you know, there are, like you said, there are fans like us that will be willing to wait and order, special order it, get in line for it, and then 3 months later, I have my Sea of Thieves or Forza or Psychonauts 2 or whatever special edition console goes with one of their first party games. That should definitely be available as an option, even if it's limited run and it's an extra $50 or something like that. I'd be willing to pay it. So
yeah, I mean, again, first of all, we got over 400 people here, so if you're new, finding the channel for the first time, please consider subscribing. And of course, while you're here and you're hanging out, hit the freaking like button. We'd super appreciate it. There are a couple of people, comments in here. Thanaros, personally, he says this. Personally, I'm not a fan of custom game theme consoles or controllers, but more options are always good. And see, again, that's awesome, dude. It's not your thing. Def Leopard in the chat says just order a skin. And yes, we can do that. But the thing is this, to Fuzzy's point, every first party game should have its own custom console. Again, just for shits and giggles, Dave, think about this.
Yep.
Hi-Fi Rush came out of nowhere. Wouldn't it have been pretty freaking cool, even if it was a limited run? Like, we only made 5,000 of these. You have to buy them directly from Microsoft. Could you imagine what a custom Hi-Fi Rush controller and console would look like? Like,
that'd be awesome.
Wow, it would be pretty damn awesome.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think so. And they also have, I know there's some companies like Mad Cats and places like that have actually made what they call, like, it's kind of like I don't want it to sound like cheap, because it's not cheap. It's very highly made, but it's like a plastic clip-on type skin.
Yeah,
it's not like a VL skin, but it clips around like 3 sides of the Xbox where the back is still exposed. The tops are still tops and bottom, but the others have this amazing artwork that's basically 3-sided that you can, and still has the slot for the for your power button and for your for your disc to go in. That'd be awesome. Or even if it was like not necessarily the Series X, but like Hi-Fi Rush Series S, the white little, man, they could just, that box is just screaming for it to be customized with all of its white. And like you said, a limited run, that would be absolutely awesome. Have you thought about trying to put a poll up, Boom? I know you were wanting to try that. Have you tried to?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I have one in mind. I actually have one in mind. I'm gonna give it the old college effort, give it the attempt. But listen, cool. Real quick, Crazy Lou, anything you want to get to before I get to the next story?
I'm good to go. And yes, I agree with you guys. They need to do that. They need to bring those custom consoles back. I mean, I want a Doom console. If I get a Doom console, Doom controller,
oh my god, that'd be so dope. Yeah, I agree.
Throw my money away right away.
Yeah, take my money. And again, it's fan service. There were a lot of people that people like, well, why are you going to spend $500 when you already have one? Because you're a fan. That's what fans do. I mean, I have a Series X, 2 of them. I have a standard launch. I have the Halo Infinite. And folks, I got news for you. If there's a Starfield, I'm probably going to buy it and then just sell off the standard, matte black one. Because what do I need 3 for? I have keep one in the room, one out here. It's fine. I can keep 2. I wouldn't keep 3, but I would definitely get rid of the other one. I bought the Zelda Tears of the Kingdom custom console.
Oh,
I mean, I like custom consoles, and I think that's dope. But listen, I want to bring up a story, folks. You know, if you look at Xbox, I would say that one of the darker days in Xbox history happens to be 2013, 2014, where you take the company that was the media darling, right? With the 360 and everything they did right there. Even with the Ring of Death, they still managed to be the media darling of the way that they were doing, custom consoles, and they, back in the 360, you can change the faceplates. Who didn't buy it? I had like a dozen of them. I changed it all the time. It's crazy. And in 2013, they had what a lot of people consider that disastrous E3, where everything was TV. And in 2014, this is kind of for me personally a bit of personal history where I kind of feel like the media turned on Xbox, and a lot of the media sites like the IGNs and the Giant Bombs and even GameSpot to some extent. I used to subscribe to all of these and watch them religiously, and then they turned on Xbox. And Xbox, even when they're getting it right, folks, don't seem to get out from under the stink that is a bad product. No matter what Game Pass does, it's bad for gaming. No matter the ABK deal is being offered to more places to play Call of Duty than ever before, it's bad. Square Enix decides that Xbox isn't a platform worth putting games on because they are under the thumb of PlayStation. I bring all of that, and I say all of that to say that the media, there is an inherent bias. Shout out to Colt Eastwood, who put a specific media group on blast on a new video. Now, I wanted to comment, and I actually just lost chain of thought. When I say there's an inherent media bias with only 12,000 subscribers, you're like, meh, whatever, right? And I hear you if you don't believe me. Maybe it's me being overly emotional. I'm not going to argue with you. But when you take someone like Colt Eastwood, who has over 150,000 subscribers and it's growing consistently, has a very popular show Monday evenings, he gets out there and he says it. I got to be honest with you. I mean, if you don't take my word for it, because I have 12,000 subs, I mean, that's you're entitled to think that way. But if the guy with 150,000 subs that could potentially damage his growth by going out and specifically targeting a specific media group, you know what I'm saying? So I think we're on the same page here. It's just the sub count is different. And again, I bring that up, and I bring Square Enix up because VG247 on March 30th put out an article which I have not clicked on, and I will not click on it. I will read you my response to their post, but I will not click on it. And the title, quite frankly, is ridiculous. It says this, folks: Xbox has an embarrassing Square Enix problem. So, of course, I don't get enraged, folks. It's just opinions. It is what it is. That's what they think. They're looking to make clicks. They're apparently struggling in the click area. They're a business. They got to make money. They got to pay their employees. Why not target Xbox? That's the cool thing to do, right? Well, I actually responded to them. My tweet was immediately after they posted theirs, and I simply said this, folks: I actually think it should be the reverse. Square Enix has an embarrassing Xbox problem. And I wrote, for a company fighting for its life to remain relevant because of poor sales, it's strikingly obvious that the PlayStation-only strategy for Square Enix is not working. And I want to touch on that. And I'm going to go first to Fuzzy on this. Fuzzy, look, The reality is that even though Microsoft is doing things that celebrates gamers of all classes, all races, creed, color, sexual orientations, they're probably one of the few companies that pushes that kind of inclusion, right?
Mhm.
Their inclusiveness is what stands out, at least for me as a human, but as a video game fan, it's why I like Xbox the most. We just had, which we're going to talk about specifically tomorrow, that amazing Sarah Bond interview by Xbox on. That was pretty good. And she said a lot of things, and she brought a lot of numbers with her. One of which I thought was pretty impressive if you think about it. Since the ID at Xbox, which is run by Chris Charler, of course, which that guy's a gentleman. They have paid out in the last 10 years, because this year makes the 10th year anniversary for ID at Xbox, $4 billion in payouts to indie developers. Think about that for us for a hot second. Now, I'm no mathematician, folks, by any stretch of the truth, but that's 400 million per year that they're paying out to indie developers and giving them a place to thrive and breathe. And instead of having to pay $30,000 to PlayStation to get any movement on their marketplace, Microsoft says, "Come on in, the water's fine." And we don't see anybody celebrating that. We didn't see any of the big sites celebrating what Sarah Bond brought to that interview. Then we get articles like this. And it, again, I hate putting on the tinfoil hat because it messes up my mohawk. But I got to put it on now, folks, because it makes you wonder, in the last couple of weeks, the unbelievable amount of negative articles that have come out against Xbox. I know I'm not being the conspiracy theorist here. It's been one after another, and it's all, condemning anything Microsoft does. Well, what are your thoughts on this VG247 article calling that Xbox has an embarrassing Square Enix problem when it really should be Square Enix has an embarrassing problem? I would even take it a bit further, Fuzzy. I would say they have poor management, because the PlayStation exclusivity deal is not working.
Well, just quickly on the media bias stuff, just imagine how much more it's going to be, or how much worse it's going to be after the APK acquisition. I can only imagine the hit piece after hit piece that a lot of these places will start pushing. But as far as like the whole Square Enix and Xbox thing, it's not like Xbox is saying, "Oh no, we don't want those games. Sorry, move along." It's not like it would be an embarrassing problem on Xbox's part if they were the ones turning down offers, like as if Square Enix is always outside the door knocking, saying, "Hey, we got games for you. Can you put this on your platform?" No, thanks. We're full here. No, thank you. No, that's not what's happening. It's more along the lines of Sony is influencing Square Enix not to put things on this particular platform or on Xbox in general from a quote unquote competition standpoint. But that's a little bit more of an extreme. It's a way to play keep away, and Sony is probably the main pushing force or motivating force behind it. So I agree with you. It's an embarrassing problem on Square Enix's part, because they're the ones that will cry in the street saying, this game underperformed, or we had we're disappointed in this studio, which we eventually sold off, and then we're going to get into the NFT game, and we're going to make an NFT game. And it's like, what are you guys doing over there? It's like, if all your games are underperforming and you're only putting it on one platform, who's to blame? Is it the platform, or is it you guys for not putting it on the platform? So I don't foresee Sarah Bond or Phil, turning anything away from Square. It's more like Square not calling them up to let them know, "Hey, we have this game available to put on your platform." It's more like, "Hey, we signed a contract with Sony to say play keep away," or we didn't necessarily sign a contract, but we did that handshake, wink, wink, backdoor deal where it's a gentleman's agreement, and type of thing, and we're just going to avoid the Xbox platform altogether. So yeah, it's definitely all on Square on that part. And it just boggles my mind, especially in this digital age where I could see if they had a problem with distribution from, physical copies and stuff like that. But in this digital age, they've had good examples as far as when they put games on Game Pass and made deals with Xbox in that regard, and that they've done better. Like, perfect example, the Avengers did better during that time frame. You had more active users, you had more people buying the DLC or the upcoming expansions and things at that point. But it still underperformed from that studio that was always the disappointment that they sold off like the redheaded stepchild or something. It's just weird to me. But yeah, the media, it almost seems like if Xbox is involved, you would say the sky is blue, and they'd be like, no, it isn't. No, it isn't. It's just not green. Like, wait, what? What are you talking about? It's obviously blue, and they're going to argue to the death that it's not. I don't know. At some point, I guess, whether it's when they realize that those aren't driving clicks to their site, or they're losing engagement, or they're becoming more or less relevant, I guess you could say, because people are moving on to sites that are more, I would say, either unbiased or more level as far as when it comes to gaming in general. Then maybe they'll change their tune. But until then, it just seems like they come up with these crazy headlines that make absolutely no sense. Like, I think Game Rant even had one about Starfield could learn something from Outer Worlds 2 about how to narrow down the space. Like, wait, what? Neither one of these games are out. So how do you I don't know. Like I always joke, it's only a matter of a couple of days before they start talking about, who has batteries in a controller in 2023, and that potato of a console is holding back gaming.
Potato, I love
potato.
It's like, I don't know. I prefer just listening to like podcasts and engaging on news sites like Seasoned Gaming and Iron Lords Gaming and things along those
great
lines.
Sites,
just,
by the way. Great.
Because they cover everything, and it's not like, you could tell maybe they have a preference, but it's not like they make that preference the fact or the de facto only option or voice type of thing. So
right.
I like sites that are more level and more fair across the board, and are willing to criticize or critique any platform that has an issue, and then praise any platform that does something that benefits the fan base. So that's just my 2 cents.
No, I mean, I love it. I think you're onto something. I listen. Opinions are like a-holes, folks. Everyone has one, right? That's a thing. I understand that a lot of these sites are fighting for their existence because of us. Like, if there's no content creator community the way that we have right now, these sites, maybe they wouldn't be as divisive, when it comes to picking a particular side. Now, we know for a fact, and again, folks, I'm not suggesting that these sites are being paid off by Sony to do, anti-Xbox rhetoric. It's the easy go-to. Like, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's definitely what's happening here. I think ultimately what's happening here, folks, is that it's much easier, and there's certainly more engagement if you look at their numbers when it comes to writing something positive about Xbox versus negative sells. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. But, before I bring Fuzzy in, I want to throw some stats out here because, I'm guys and gals, I'm all about the numbers. You can argue my opinion, but you can't argue the numbers. One particular game, which is an amazing experience, Octopath Traveler 1. That originally launched as a PlayStation 4. I think it was a Switch exclusive and eventually came to everything else. But when it came to Xbox and Xbox Game Pass, again, I looked for the specific amount of sales on Xbox. I could not find it. But I bring this up because this is a damning stat. Octopath Traveler 1, which is as old school Square quality as you could possibly get. Like, it is amazing. And as of February 2021, they sold 3 million copies. Now, that may not be, with something breaking down barriers, but it's a top-down pixel RPG. I would imagine that there is some development cost, but they probably made their money back. But Octopath Traveler 2 came out, and it is currently available on the PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, and the Switch. Folks, this is awful. Now, they skipped Xbox. Why? I don't know. Somebody will write a book eventually and tell us why. Crazy Lou, do you know how many copies they sold since this game launched? 78,000 copies.
What?
Across 3 platforms. As a matter of fact, GamesRadar.com did a report on this. And the lead title is 2023's best RPG so far was a huge sales disappointment in Japan. Now, 78,000 copies of a sequel to a game that sold 3 million copies, very well received, very highly rated, tells me, now again, I'm not saying that it would have sold another 2 million copies on Xbox, but this is the problem. See, this is the problem. I don't think Xbox is the one to blame for this. And real quick, before I get your opinion, I want to catch up on some super chats. We have 3 of them. First of all, the first one of the day comes from a very good friend of the show, Drawn TJ. He says this after dropping a very generous $5 super chat. With Microsoft owning ABK, they now own MLG. That could help Halo become more mainstream. 100%. Absolutely. I think they're going to incorporate Halo into MLG. I think that would be tremendous. Harky Chani, good friend of the program, and always slanderous when he can be. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, whether it's Square or Xbox who has the embarrassing problem, it's all solved with Xbox acquiring Square Enix. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong with that. But then again, that interview with the guy from Final Fantasy 16 just left such a sour taste in my mouth when he said the reason why there's no African American people in his game. Yikes. Every time I talk about Square, yeah, it is just one guy, but I got to be honest with you. I had this conversation with Kay Asante, who's in the chat right now, and he gets really worked up, and he has every right to be. Of course. It's just, you wonder if the thoughts of a few people who, this is not the first time they've had this kind of controversy, right? It's not the first time, folks. You kind of wonder, again, we don't throw everybody under an umbrella on this channel because you can't really account for stupid, right? And some people in Square Enix are just stupid and they don't know how to talk. But you kind of wonder if that is an ideology that floats around the office. And if it is, I wouldn't want no part of it. If I was Microsoft, I wouldn't purchase them. I'd let go to Sony, go to your sugar mama or your daddy, whatever. I don't want no part of it. But Dreadful Sean drops a very generous $10 super chat and says Square has released 2 sequel expansions recently for Octopath Traveler and Outriders. Both were on Game Pass. Forspoken was a PlayStation exclusive and the studio closed. Looks like the problem is PlayStation exclusivity. 1,000%. There's no doubt about it. And it's, I don't understand why they don't get it. Crazy Lou Gaming, let's get your hot take on this. Is it Xbox that has a Square problem, or is it Square that has a Square problem?
Square has the big problem. I mean, all of us have noticed that. I mean, I'm going to tell you something. The way they're releasing games, after I read this article, I was like, let PlayStation keep them. I mean, really, just the way they've been releasing games. I mean, you got Forspoken with issues. Outriders was great, but came out with issues. Avengers came out with issues. I mean, oh, Lord. I don't know what's happening.
Tomb Raider sold 13 million copies, and it was like, yeah, it underperformed for us. We're disappointed with sales.
I can't believe they say that. 13 million copies and disappointing them. But yeah, Square has been just having issues like that African American title. Oh my god, I don't want to get into that. But dang, after I read that, and that was an article from November last year, which is insane. And you were talking about the media and how they cover things up. I mean, that didn't even go really far, and that's something that is actually super important to talk about. I'm happy that Kiyosawa brought it up and is on it too. And yeah, there's just been a big mess. I mean, Square, I don't know what's going on with them, but really, I don't know. They need a company to grab them, like I said, I always say, and need new guidance. They need like someone to sit down with them and say, hey, let's grab the really good titles and let's focus on them, let's make them better, and let's get people back here to come back and play them. Like, for example, look at that Octopath Traveler 2, right? It's actually one of the best RPGs that came out this year. And it's sad that it's only sold 78,000 copies. That is really, really sad. I mean, that game could have done a lot more better if they did, of course, could expand it more, put it on Xbox like they did with the first one, which it did. It did pretty good on the Xbox. I imagine Game Pass gave it a lot more popularity, a little bit of.
Well, it's instant access to 30 million players. Now, granted, Octopath Traveler is a niche title. There are a lot of people, especially younger gamers, that's just pixel art is just not their thing. Old folks like me appreciate that. And real quick, let me clarify. I pulled an article, folks, because I love bringing the stats. Like, that's my thing. From 2015, folks. I pulled it all the way out of the rabbit hat. And according to Square Enix back then, this was a story from GamersRevolution.com. Heck, I don't even know if they're still around. 2013's Tomb Raider. Listen to this, folks. This is how ridiculous this goes back with Square Enix. 2013's Tomb Raider is now the best-selling franchise, and Square Enix has announced today, totaling 8.5 million copies sold across 5 platforms, and it now not only ranks as the top-selling Tomb Raider in history, but also one of Square Enix's highest grossing. Now, why do I say that? Because according to Square Enix, Tomb Raider at 8.5 million copies is a disappointment. Is that not ridiculous? It's the highest selling in franchise history. It was the highest selling Square Enix game, but it's a disappointment. And how many times, folks, have we heard from this time, from 2013 to forward, 2015, I should say, they've always with the same rhetoric. Talk about it.
I mean, seriously, Square needs a new guidance. That's they do. Because I mean, I don't know where the heck are they gonna go. I don't know what are they gonna do, because each time they come out, it's always a disappointing news, something bad. Like I said, Forspoken. Oh my god, that was. I mean, people are out there defending it, but man, I played the demo. It was horrible, and finally the game released, and I was like, nope, it doesn't look good. Man, they really do need a new guidance. They need a new guide. They need a new thing, and
they have a new president. They have a new president. Yeah,
they have a new president. But either way, though, I mean, they got to sit down and fix a bunch of issues they're having internally, and get their heads straight. Because if they're gonna keep on going the way they're going, I mean, one day they're just gonna be sold for cheap, and that's what Sony's looking for. Of course, Sony's looking for them to go down to get to a point where they can actually buy it for cheap. Simple and easy. Buy them for cheap. But it's sad that they're going that way, because they have so many good titles. They have so many good games. And it's sad that they keep locking them up in one spot instead of letting them go and let them explore and see how they will go, especially now, since we're getting the ABK deal closed. We're getting, all this stuff going down. And when all this stuff goes down, I mean, people are going to go out there and buy more Xbox. We know that for a fact. And so get your games on Xbox, it's gonna get people, play them, especially on Game Pass. Like I said earlier before, I mean, Octopath Traveler on Game Pass, I bet you it did really well. If you could have gotten number 2 on Game Pass, I mean, it would have been a boom. It would have been a boom. It would have sold, and you guys would have been impressed with those numbers. Partly they weren't happy with Outriders, but they need to remember that Outriders, when it came out, it had a lot of issues. I mean, with saves and stuff like that, that's probably did not do as well. Either way, though, they printed out an article saying yes, it did really well on Game Pass, which is actually pretty funny. But if they would have put I keep messing up, Octopath Traveler 2 on Game Pass, I mean, it would have done a lot more better than just being just in what, Nintendo and just PlayStation PC. Is it on PC or no?
I don't think it's on PC. I
Okay.
definitely know it's on PlayStation and Switch right now.
Oh my god, no, it's not gonna sell well if they don't. Like I said, they got to make it everywhere. They got to. They got to stop doing this exclusivity deals, because you're not letting players explore your games and enjoy them. That's bad. Really.
Yeah. Well, listen, Dave, let's get your hot take on this. Now, speaking of Outriders, I pulled up a Screen Rant article, April 16th, 2021, folks. We're almost 2 years to the day. It says Outriders still had high sales despite being free on Xbox Game Pass. Apparently, it did banger numbers on Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah, and even I know that even Square made the comment that they were impressed with the sales of it being on Game Pass. They made that public, so that's pretty good statement coming from them. But why don't they go back to the well? You know what I'm saying? It seems like they should go back to it if it's doing that good for them. But there's somebody else, as it's Calorie in chat said that Octopath 2 is on Steam and it only sold 50,000 copies on Steam though, so that's kind of surprising. But then again, it is a different game and maybe it's the way they've promoted it. But if it was on Game Pass, I guarantee you the numbers would be vastly improved. And with their new direction, hopefully their new president is going to take them in a better direction.
Hopefully, yes, indeed.
Yeah, but if Sony, really serious about buying them, maybe that will be a good fit. I don't know. I know a lot of people like yourself don't really want Microsoft to buy them, and I totally understand why. But they do have a lot of good properties. They do have a lot of good franchises that would be really good for the Xbox ecosystem
platform.
Where I was trying to look for. Sorry, but like we're talking like Kingdom Hearts, Dragon Quest. Those are some big franchises beside the Final Fantasy. That if they got them for a good price, Microsoft can go in and fix the issues if there is what you're talking about with the with those comments, like they're going to do and going to fix ABK. So I just think it would it's not to be overlooked is basically what I'm saying. I get that there's it's definitely it's probably not going to happen, but there can be some really good things that come out of it, especially if you had every Final Fantasy game in Game Pass. I understand that the new one is exclusive, but 17 won't be an exclusive. And who's to say how long that the exclusivity deal is actually, pending for Sony. I mean, we know it's at least a few years, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's never going to be available to be on Game Pass or whatever. So, and it's just possibilities are there. And it's just it's a shame that it's gotten to this because Square at one time, the Final Fantasy franchise, it was big, man. Remember Final Fantasy 7 when it first came out, and oh my god, everybody was playing it. The original Final Fantasy 7 was a game changer for a lot of people because it really, So I hope that someday they can get back to their greatness. Some people like 15. A lot of people didn't like 15. 16 looks like it has a lot of potential, but with some of their other misses that they've had recently, or spoken, or broken, whatever you want to call it, it's a definitely hit or miss. It's kind of up in the air with them, but like I said, I really think that there is some good that can come out of it. If Microsoft owned it, it would be nothing but good for people that play on Game Pass.
But you know what? you know what would have been a good article instead of saying it's embarrassing. They could have just said Xbox needs to bring more Final Fantasy type games to its console, and that would have been better than saying, oh, it's embarrassing or this like that. Just if you put out that out there and say, oh, Xbox received Octopath and they missed out on Octopath 2, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. They should have just written an article making it, making a better statement, saying, hey, we need more of those type of games over here,
Microsoft has some pretty good quote unquote Final Fantasy inspired and or people that have worked on Final Fantasy games like Blue Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the other big one? Boom.
Lost Odyssey was a big, huge one. I'd love to see a HD remake of that. That was
Lost
amazing.
Odyssey too.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that would be amazing. So
fans are calling for that too. They've been calling for that for years.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know.
So
I mean, listen, getting back to the Square Enix point of specifically Outriders, though. It says Square Enix praises Outriders. This is coming from GameIndustry.biz, where it's they have Square Enix quote saying, we were pleasantly surprised by the success of the new IP Outriders. Stating that this is what they're saying about Outriders, stating that the digital sales ratio for the title had been very high, and insisting that the decision to make Outriders available with Microsoft's Xbox Game Pass as soon as the title launched also worked in its favor. I'm just saying that if you've already worked with Microsoft, you should have worked with them again, unless that was C-blocked by Sony, which we will hopefully find out, which we're gonna segue into the next topic, folks. Look, Fuzzy, I'm going to go to you first on this because I know you're probably going to be the saltiest of them all. There is something to be said about the way Sony does their business. Now, granted, they are the market leader. They have been the market leader for over 2 decades.
Mm-hmm.
I take nothing away from the prowess of their game, their first party. They make amazing single-player, story-driven, very, very amazing lifelike graphics. And, it's why I personally own a PlayStation. And there's no denying that they have been the masters of marketing when it's, the correct marketing, like showing up at a NBA game and having the entire floor be a commercial for God of War. Like, I just hand over fist, they do a lot of really good work at their marketing. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of dark spaces, shadowed spaces on how they do their marketing. And if there was one thing I thought was going to be a reality potentially, even before it happened, we talked about it on many of my shows, is they potentially were going to open Pandora's box into what they're doing. And Microsoft obviously knows that there is rhetoric in their contracts that are anti-Xbox Game Pass. We've seen it, right? We've seen games can't be on Xbox Game Pass. I mean, we saw what happened with the Capcom leak. Resident Evil 8 could not find its way over to Game Pass because it was literally in the contract that said cannot go on any other streaming services, i.e. Xbox Game Pass. Mm-hmm. And we have seen, a big hubbub happen last week with the JFTC, who originally was going to get set to block the merger for ABK. And then obviously 11 senators from Congress got involved and like, well, hold on a sec. PlayStation has 98% of the market. Microsoft has 2% of the market. That's a monopoly, and you're looking to block the deal. I don't know if this, the trade talks may get hung up on or gummed up over this. And now we are starting to potentially hear rumblings where maybe the JFTC, maybe the EU Commission, who made some changes to their internal documents regarding the rules of a particular, company having a certain, lead in a region like it is in Europe. It's 70-30. Mm-hmm. 70 by pure definition is a monopoly. Microsoft is getting boxed out of a lot of games that are only showing up on PlayStation. Now, I get exclusive content I get it, but it's to the point where everything seems to be skipping Xbox. And my question to you, quite simply, is: should these three regulatory bodies open up an investigation against Sony Interactive Entertainment?
I think it's worthwhile for them to investigate. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where, you know, Sony kind of ruined things for themselves. You got Nintendo on the side saying we can't have nice things type of deal, because they decided that PlayStation decided to, you know, make this big stink about Microsoft, yet they're the guys that are, you know, the 80% or higher, you know, premium console tier holder in most regions. So they kind of set themselves up to some extent, making all this noise, bringing attention to the deal, and pointing out things that pretty much they've been doing for decades. So as far as the investigation, it would be nice to see if some of these regulators look a little bit deeper into it. But I know now Sony probably regrets some of their actions for the fact that you never want government bodies or any regulators looking in your books about anything, no matter what kind of business. You could be selling roses. You don't want them sniffing around your refrigerator or your log books or anything. So Sony definitely kind of spoiled things for themselves. And hey, let the regulators take a look at stuff as far as these contracts. Now, it may not only hurt Sony, it may hurt like anything, you know, future wise, as far as like exclusive deals, not necessarily like stuff you own, but when it comes to like third party, you might not be able to have, you know, exclusive skins or exclusive time frames or things like that if the regulators have their say. But we'll see how it goes. But yeah, Sony kept on making all this noise to get attention, and they got attention, just not the attention that they were hoping for. So we'll see what the results are. Me being the nosy person, I'm looking forward to some of the papers that like the FTC wanted to see, as far as some of the contracts that Microsoft had or put in the request for the subpoena. And then if the JFTC does the same thing with some of those contracts, looking over, hey, let's see what this deal is about keeping stuff off of another platform. And you know, I'm pretty sure somebody's going to leak something somewhere so we could see, hey, why didn't, you know, Final Fantasy VII come to Xbox after a year or after 2 years even? See what the verbiage is on some of those contracts and things, or like the more recent one. I forget the name of the game. It's something Eve or something like that. Project Eve, I think, is what it was.
Project Eve is rumored to be. There was a PlayStation game. Oh my God, what was the name of it? It was an RPG that was isometric. Parasite Eve. That's what it was. Parasite Eve. So it's rumored that this might be, because a lot of people have been calling, that's an old callback to the PlayStation 1. I loved Parasite Eve. It was phenomenal. I didn't like 2 as much, but that's what it is. But yeah, that was originally announced for multiple platforms, and Xbox has been boxed out. Yes, good callback. Yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll get to see some of those deals and some of the verbiage on it, and you know, we'll definitely have a lot to talk about and digest as far as these things. But yeah, Sony did it to themselves. I mean, you F around and find out is what they
that's right. F around and find out. That's right. I mean, listen, we don't know what's going to happen. Personally, I can't wait for these documents to be delivered by Sony, because it is going to potentially, they're going to out themselves. Now that the judge has been involved, you know, I mean, you heard that story with Hogue Law. Even if they sign the deal, it's too late. The documents are going to make their way to the judge, and he's going to get a chance to see. And maybe at some point they open up an investigation against Sony's anti-competitive, market type behavior. And I think they might be in a bit of a pickle. Let's bring in Crazy Lou Gaming on this. Crazy Lou, what is your hot take on potentially the spotlights being turned onto Sony when they were trying to do everything they can to get this deal blocked? They went and cried to regulators of every inch of the world, and then they went to Washington last week and were lobbying only to find out that the teacher knows what we're up to. We're in trouble.
Yep. I mean, they got to get investigated for all that stuff they were doing, especially blocking all those third-party games. Because I'm going to tell you something, though, and this is a practice that's been going on for a longest of time. I mean, Nintendo used to do it, which it still does till today, with some games. But we know that Sony has been doing it with a lot of games. I mean, especially, you know, for example, Resident Evil exclusive content, Harry Potter exclusive content, all this stuff, you know, was exclusive content. They really got to sit down and take a look at that. And sometimes they grab, like, for example, isn't Silent Hill only going to be on PlayStation, Silent Hill 2?
Yeah, so the Silent Hill remake, I think it's a
Remake,
timed
yeah.
exclusive. But then again, do you really believe that after what happened with Final Fantasy VII? I don't know.
That's the thing, though. They keep blocking all these games, and that's something you got to take a look at. Because I'm going to tell you something, and let's be honest, let's be fair here. If you buy the developing studio, if you buy that for yourself, if you want to put it exclusive, okay, it's yours. I understand. If you want to do it like that, it's yours. You can do it for your console, okay, but because you bought it. But don't block all these third-party deals, you know? Why do you want to block all this stuff? Because seriously, why? So I can go get a PlayStation? Do you think I'm gonna, you know, there's some people actually do it, but I'm gonna tell you something though. You think I'm gonna go buy a PlayStation, a $500 console, to spend $60 on one game? Really? You think, you know, $70? I mean, you think I would actually do that?
No.
I would not do it. I mean, if I have common sense, I would not do that. So why do you always got to block me these third-party deals? I mean, like I said again, if you're gonna get them for yourself, cool. I mean, you got it for yourself. You can block them and say, okay, this is mine. It's not yours. So yeah, it's gonna be exclusive for me. But yeah, you can do that right then and there. But just don't keep blocking these things. And yes, I'm super happy that they're going to investigate this. I'm super happy. I hope they find a way, you know, to stop this. Because hey, if they want to pay for exclusive content, okay, cool. I mean, they could have that access, you know, pay for exclusive content, you know. But don't block us the whole game, because we as gamers, you know, we get agitated every time we see that a game is blocked and we cannot play it. We get agitated, especially if we don't have, you know, the option.
Well, if you support only one console, then it's a little deceive. See, again, for me, I prefer to play an Xbox, but I'm not going to wait 2 years to play Silent Hill. Like I said, I've told you before, I'm buying Silent Hill 2 remake or remaster, whatever it is, a remake. Day one, because for me, it's the pinnacle of Silent Hill in all of the franchise, and I was a huge fan of it, just like I am of Resident Evil. But I'm not going to wait a year, so I will buy it. But not everyone, like you're saying, Crazy Lou, has the ability to say, "Hey, listen, it's not on my box, so I'm going to go buy another box because all I support is just this one platform." I hear you.
Yeah, so like I said before, I hope they do investigate that and get onto it, and I hope they do regulate or find something, you know, so us gamers don't get affected as much. Because like I said before, it's hard. Like, for example, Final Fantasy 16. I mean, if I'm a big Final Fantasy fan, I got to get myself PS5 to play Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
Why? You know, just why am I going to spend $150 for that? No, I'd rather wait, you know, or I don't know, you know, just nah, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's just.
If you don't already have a PlayStation 5 and you're not into the, I don't know if I would actually spend $600 after tax for a particular game unless I was a ridiculous fan. I don't think Final Fantasy 16 is going to be the one that would break people's backs to buy this console if you don't already own it. I think that's going to stay exclusive. Personally, I don't see that ever coming. Same way Final Fantasy 7 Remake didn't come to Xbox, unless, of course, this whole thing with the JFTC now opens up Square's like gets a little skittish, and maybe the president says, "You know what we're doing here is just not making money. Our investors are pulling out left, right, and center. We got to make money, and we can't cater to PlayStation only because they're a Japanese company. We got to release games on other consoles if we want to sell it. I guarantee you that when and I say when with the hope that it is, Final Fantasy VII ever came to the Xbox, it would sell gangbuster numbers because it was really good. I mean, like really good. Dave, let's get your final take on this, brother. We're closing in on the 90-minute mark. We have over 500 people here. Of course, I want to ask it, if you are new and you're finding the channel for the first time, please consider subscribing. We do this 5 days a week, 5 different shows, 5 different panels, but all great opinions. Monday through Friday, we deliver hot button topics, sometimes breaking news like we had today. And sometimes they're made up stuff like I still want my kart racer from Xbox with their characters. And we'll talk about that at some point in a couple of months, just so I keep the idea fresh in Microsoft's head. Dave, let's get your hot take on this. My question to you is, you are our business guy. Like, you're in the business.
Okay.
We know that Square is losing money. There's no doubt about it. Everything they put out is a disappointment. That's a fact, because that's what they tell us. But I really want to focus on PlayStation. They have, and this came from Phil Spencer's mouth. He said PlayStation's business is all about making Xbox smaller. He said that. That is the head dude of Microsoft Gaming. He's got a promotion, folks, and I think he knows what he's talking about. Do you think it's necessary for the JFTC, the EU Commission, or even the CMA for that matter, to potentially open up an investigation against PlayStation for anti-competitive behavior?
Okay, so what I'll say is that, there's already been some Congress men and women that are calling for there to be more openness and more balance. Oversight,
Yeah.
exactly, and more balance in the because of their quote unquote I guess high-end consoles comment that that Sega made, that that the FTC and them ran with. Then there isn't quite the balance in Japan, with 99% of Sony game sales for consoles for their quote unquote high end sales in that market. So yeah, that should probably be looked into. How do they fix it? There's a lot of things they could do. Will it go anywhere? Maybe, maybe not. And of course, even Hogue said that Hogue Law said that if this gets settled before these quote unquote documents that everybody wants to see comes out, then those just may get quashed, and we may never quote unquote see what the insight to that was. And at some point, will it get looked into? It probably should be. I think we both agree with that it should definitely be looked into, as a fair practice field. But if they win this and they get ABK, then there's probably not going to be as I guess the passion to continue down that road, because we still have to have a trade with Japan, and that the priority on that may not be as high. I think there'll be some kind of balance with it, some kind of, and really, it's so open as to what they could do or what they could ask them to do. It's crazy. If they have a deal with Square for certain games, they can't just make them. You just can't do that. They can make a maybe possibly a limited agreement, type thing, but they can't just make them stop selling that. Because really the precedence isn't there. I mean, it'd be different if it was something hazardous to someone's health, that kind of thing. It's gaming, it's sales. It's really harder to make a case as far as, how is it really hurting you when you have all these other markets that you are still selling good in. So, but I agree with you. It definitely is something that needs to be looked into. I hope it gets looked into. But on the last thing I'll say on the exclusivity, if somebody was going to pay for your exclusive, and I'm not defending Sony anyway, I can see what their point is. And Microsoft, if it was on the other foot, would probably want this too. That if okay, well, if we're going to have, say for example, Final Fantasy any game exclusive to our platform, Sony, for 1 year, then we don't want it on Game Game Pass
Yeah.
for that year.
Yeah.
Now, after that, I think then the gloves are off, and it could be something that's a possibility. So, but their broader market and what we've understood from some of the developers that Sony has that have actually, talked about some of their behind the seal discussions or behind the door discussions with Sony is that they were like, if you want us to sell your game, being the market leader, then you need to never make this available on Game Pass. Those kind of practices definitely need to be stopped. That is not fair. But if it's something for a limited time because you're paying for maybe a game to get completed, if you're paying for the exclusive rights to certain things, then I can see those arguments. But as far as to never have it on there, that's a big red flag. That's what I got.
Well, I'll say this. I've asked a question, and I've even criticized Microsoft for this. Why don't they do more exclusives? And seeing how well Game Pass does, and I've said this before, the exclusive is actually Game Pass. Because if you look at some of the deals that they've done to get a game into Game Pass at launch date, it launches everywhere else. It's just in Game Pass for us as Game Pass, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscribers. We get the game day and date. So that in itself, I've always called it the real exclusive. It's going to release on PlayStation. It's going to release on Switch potentially, and definitely on Steam. But for Xbox Game Pass subscribers, we get it day and date. And I think that is the exclusive that at least I most cherish, only because, I don't have to buy the game, and if the game turns out to be something that I'm not a fan of, I could just erase. I could just, delete it off my hard drive. With no harm, no foul, no returning the game. I bought it. It sucks. I'm stuck with a shitty game that I don't like. Look, at the end of the day, folks, I think that there is going to be a significant backlash for Sony specifically, but I think ultimately the scorched earth way of handling ABK for Jim Ryan and SIE was a mistake. I think they burnt a significant amount of bridges with not only fellow industry and platform and developer and other industry folks that they've worked with. I think that they have now opened Pandora's box for the government, which is not something you want to do. Have them laser focused on, wait a second, this video games make this much money and there's this many deals going down. It's going to be scrutinized a lot more, and that is a big problem. We have a Highlander 001 who's been a channel member for 10 months. Thanks so much for that, brother. He says, we are talking about ABK and Sony and how they do things, but did you know that Saudi Arabia eyes more deals to build a $38 billion gaming hub? This is what Microsoft is fighting. Yeah, it was announced this morning. And by the way, Saudi Arabia or the UFC owners are buying the WWE, which is crazy. Wow. Okay. That was rumored a couple of months ago, and here it is. They announced it this morning. Dreadful Sean, who's been a channel member for 2 months. Dreadful Sean, thank you so much for that. He drops an additional $5 super chat and says, could regulators in specific regions force PlayStation to stop third-party deals from devs that region for X amount of years? I don't know the specifics on what they could actually do. They could, again, if they look into it and they start pulling random contracts, and Sony does have this anti-Xbox rhetoric and this writing in the contracts where it says you are not permitted to release on Xbox, that might spell some trouble for Sony. How much trouble? I don't know. How much are these regulators really going to look into it? I don't know that either. I know that I think what you're going to start to see are two things. Microsoft or Xbox is going to start shifting ideologies in gaming, both in the media, because I think they're going to have no choice, and also in the platform and developer community, where they're going to know that Microsoft, if they're not getting, if they feel like they're under Sony's thumb, and they feel like they're working for the empire, maybe working for the rebels or the New Republic in Xbox is your better bet. You're going to get more eyes on your product. You're going to get it into Xbox Game Pass. Like I said, I think the Xbox Game Pass conversation is really going to hit a high note in the coming months and coming years when they get up to 50 million, 75 million, 100 million subscribers. Because if you are a developer and you have a team of, I don't know, 20 people making a game, and it's your life's work, where are you going to want to put that game? On PlayStation, where it's the more popular brand, but you got to spend 30 grand to get it into the conversation, or you go over to ID at Xbox and you launch it in Xbox Game Pass. You get a nice big bag of money from Microsoft, and it's instant access to how many subscribers. Right now, it's 30 million. It may not be for everyone the game, but I can guarantee you that the sales and the potential people playing, the engagement of your game is going to be 3 times, 5 times to 1 on PlayStation. And I think once that starts to make the rounds, people are going to start detaching themselves from Sony. And we'll see what happens. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this week's new Xbox Lunch Break special. Of course, I want to do the outros and thank everyone. We had over 500 people here. There's still almost 500 people here. Hit the like button before you get on out. Web Dave, sell your brand, brother. Talk about not only the Gamers Council podcast on Sundays with Retri from Game Pass _daily. But you are also king of the interviews. And you did another big one. CMA himself. Talk about it.
Well, thanks for that. It was a really good interview. He's an easy person to interview, so that makes it good too. Being a Luke Steele, a lawyer, and really knows, because he's had firsthand experience on deals like the ABK deal, but in CBA and all that, where he's from in England. So he's familiar with those and the nuances and what things really mean. And the interview is really good. We talk about it, obviously, his history, his background, but we really get a good explanation of how things are and where he thinks things are going as of right now, as in like currently, as in like today, how things should and how things should probably finish up in the next month or so. Yeah, so it's a really good interview. I was really blessed to have him on, and hope everybody gets a chance to listen to that. Of course, the other show we do with Retri is really good. Gamers Council, I enjoy that one a lot. And it was a live show, and we even take I guess call-in type things, like a voice message, or you can leave one. And it was pretty cool. We had Fuzzy Belvedere on last night. Fuzzy was amazing, because we were talking all about this game you're showing now, the new updates and the new expansion for Forza, which the rally is fun. And he broke it all down for us and makes it really fun to talk about. Plus, we kind of get off the rails a little bit. If you get a chance to watch that one, it's a great episode to watch as well. And Boom, I can't thank you enough for everything you do for the community. And the chat was off the rails today, man. They were great. They were, engaging, lots of great opinions and comments. I was reading them as we were doing the show. And you really bring a really good community together. And thank you for letting me be a part of it.
Oh, well, thank you for being a part of it, not only on this show, but on Breakfast with Boom as well. And speaking, folks, of Breakfast with Boom, we have gotten requests for, we launched our merch line a couple of weeks ago, and it's been doing really well. We sold over 40 pieces, 40 items, which is, I can't believe it. I'm actually quite shocked that we sold so many. Folks, the request and call for Breakfast with Boom designs have come in, and the Richter, the one that did the Mr. Boomstick that looks like Captain America, well, he has just done 2 amazing designs. He reimagined the original design with updated controllers and a new look, But he also did an 8-bit version of it, which looks so freaking good. Those items will be hopefully up in the store by week's end. He's finishing up the designs. Again, that was the Richter that did that. He did 2 Breakfast with Boom, one standard and one pixelized 8-bit one. It looks so freaking good. But I'm going to drop the link in here. And before we get out of here, I'll play the commercial that was done for me by Sean Labrie. So if you're interested and you might want to buy something from Double Barrel Gaming, the link will be there for you to check out. And you can use the code BoomStick at the checkout for 15% off of your total order. Crazy Lou Gaming, sell your brand, brother. Talk about the Xbox International podcast, where you guys do a great job each and every week, not only bringing Xbox gamers together, but Xbox gamers from around the globe. Talk about it.
Oh man, thank you for having me on today, Boom. Man, like always, you guys can find me here hanging out with you guys at noon at the Xbox Lunch Break Special. And on Tuesdays, we, like I said, started a week ago playing with Crazy, where I play all sorts of scary games, so you guys can come along and join the fun and watch me get scared. And last but not least, Xbox International Podcast, 7 p.m. ET on Wednesdays with Salvo, the Big Boom, and Silent Cypher, talking about what's going on around the world of gaming.
Nice, brother. I love what you guys do over there. And of course, definitely love what you do, especially because, you're the crazy one and you do some outlandish things. So we love that about you. And we're glad that you're here with us each and every Monday afternoon. Fuzzy, sell your brand, brother. Talk about the best place for anything and everything racing. And of course, your thoughts, theories, and gameplay on Forza's new rally expansion, which you see in front of me, which of course I'm driving like a lunatic, but you know what? I still come in first place, so it's all worth it in the end. Talk about it, brother. Where can people subscribe to your YouTube channel? And more importantly, reach out to you on social media.
Just want to thank you for having me on, and it's always awesome being on here on Monday afternoons with you guys. Love doing the breaking news stuff and talking about some of the upcoming things for Xbox and pretty much all gaming news in general. But man, this was awesome time, and also want to thank everybody in the chat for watching us live, or those that'll catch us on replay, and for those interacting with us, greatly appreciate it. So don't forget to hit that like button. For those that want to hear my rambles or rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere, or on YouTube, Fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on FSP later tonight on Fun Speculations channel at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then right back here on Double Barrel Gaming for Breakfast with Boom on Friday. And don't forget, definitely check out Web Dave's channel for the Gamers Council, where I talk about the Forza Horizon Rally DLC. He'll have that up there as well as all the interviews, including myself, on his channel as well. So don't forget to check that out, and give a follow, give a like to all the guys here on this panel. If you haven't already, definitely subscribe to their channels. And man, look forward to seeing you guys here next Monday. But yeah, don't forget Breakfast with Boom Friday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Look forward to seeing you there.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you for being here. You know what I think I'm going to make this a topic on Friday. I would love to get your hot take, Fuzzy, on whether or not they should bring a Forge-like thing to Forza. The same way that you can build maps from Star Wars with AT-ATs and aliens and things of that nature, and Predator that we've seen in Halo. It would be pretty cool if we could get someone to make like a Rainbow Road track for Forza. That would be pretty dope, right? Or an F-Zero track. Oh my God. I mean, I would imagine that we would even see someone make a kart racer. That would be pretty dope. I hope, I don't know if they've ever thought about doing like a creators hub for Forza, but I think that would be pretty dope if they did.
They have design labs, but because of it being limited to some of the assets used in the game, the existing game, it's hard to create, but there's some awesome creators out there that have made like almost like a nighttime neon city, like Miami Vice kind of track,
I was
and,
gonna say, so I
and
was like
some real
a
race
Tokyo
tracks. But
drift kind of a thing. Yeah.
yeah, but I would love for them to go even further. If they had a Forge thing, yeah, that would be awesome. So definitely look forward to that.
Yeah, well, that's gonna be a good conversation, folks. Here, again, thank you for all the support that have come in for the new store launched with Teespring. I'm gonna run you the commercial. Tell me what you guys think, and I'm gonna drop the link once again in the chat if you're interested in buying one of the merch items from Teespring.com. And there you go, folks. Again, if you're interested, check out teespring.com /double barrel gaming. Of course, I want to thank everyone that tuned in for today's episode, who continue to allow for Mrs. Boomstick and I to produce these shows 5 days a week. Of course, I want to say a big thank you for all the super chats that come in. Again, folks, those have allowed specifically this year for us to pay artists with ridiculous talent, actual money to make these designs, so we can put this merch store together. And of course, I'm going to close out the show, folks, with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. It's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Lunch Break Special.